Hey everyone! I hope you're all doing great and having a creative day. Welcome back to Artisan Revival by A&K, where we take raw wood, a bit of imagination, and turn it into something meaningful. If you're new here, this channel is all about woodworking, restoration, and creating beautiful handmade pieces, from lamps to decor, and now, a home for a feathered friend. In today's video, I'm kicking off a very special and heartwarming project, one that's close to my heart. We're going to be building a custom wooden bird cage, not just any cage, but a beautifully handcrafted home for a charming little bird who's waiting patiently for a place to call its own. This isn't your average bird cage. It's going to be a blend of elegant design, rustic woodwork, and careful craftsmanship. The goal is to make something that's both functional and beautiful, a real piece of art that a bird can actually live in. In this video, we're starting right at the foundation, cutting the wooden pieces that will form the grid structure for the sides of the cage. This grid will give the cage both its shape and strength, and it's important to get every cut precise. We'll be working with carefully selected wood, making uniform slats, and laying the groundwork for a structure that's both sturdy and visually appealing. If you love DIY woodworking, or just enjoy seeing a raw piece of timber slowly transform into something purposeful and creative, then you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's get started on building a cozy little home, one wooden piece at a time. Now that the grid pieces are ready, it's time to move on to the backbone of the cage, the structural frame that will give our bird's new home its shape and strength. For this, I'm using 1x2-inch wooden blocks. They strike the perfect balance, sturdy enough to support the cage, while keeping the overall design light and minimal. Now I started by cutting and assembling the main structure of the cage using 1x2-inch wooden blocks. These guys are the backbone of the build. Strong, reliable, and available at almost every hardware store. Unlike some of my tools, which disappear every weekend. Once all the pieces are cut, I lay them out for a dry fit just to get a visual feel of the structure. And it's exciting to see how it's already beginning to look like a real bird cage. Step by step, it's coming to life. And after assembling the main frame, I traced out a grid onto it. And before anyone asks, yes, I did measure twice. Mostly because the first measurement was upside down. I cut grooves into the frame to snugly fit the grid pieces. These are made from 1/2 inch wide and around 1/6 inch thick wood. And let me tell you, grooving these by hand gave me a whole new appreciation for laser cutters. As you see, everything was going perfectly. The wood was measured, the grooves were marked, and I was in full concentration mode. You know, that quiet, serious face every DIYer makes when they think they're doing something brilliant. I started cutting the grooves for the grid, steady hands, focused eyes. And then, it happened. The dagger slipped, just for a second, and boom! I felt that sharp sting. I looked down and yep, I had sliced my thumb. Not too deep, thankfully, but just enough to make me freeze and think, well, there goes my woodworking hand modeling career. It was one of those moments where everything slows down, like in the movies. Dramatic music playing in the background, sawdust floating in the air like confetti, and me holding my thumb like I just saved the world. Of course, I did the brave thing, wrapped it in a tissue, shouted, "I'm fine!" and went back to work like a true DIY warrior. But let me tell you, it was a reminder. Always respect your tools, never rush your cuts, and never think about snacks while cutting wood. Lesson learned, and now this build has a tiny bit of blood, a whole lot of heart, and maybe one less fingerprint. Now, let's get back to business. Then came the part where I felt like a real pro, pre-drilling the holes for the screws. I used small drill bits for accuracy because if you've ever split a piece of wood, you know that crack sound is the sound of disappointment. I used 2-inch long screws for the main joints because I don't want this thing wobbling every time the bird sneezes, and 3/4-inch screws to attach the grid. Before moving forward, I have a story for you. Bobby the bird and his brilliant life. In a sunny little house on Maple Street lived a cheeky green parrot named Bobby. Bobby wasn't just any bird. He was a bird with attitude, rhythm, and a weird obsession with crackers and disco music. He lived in a big, cozy cage that he proudly called the Feather Palace. But don't be fooled. This cage had a swing, 2 mirrors, because Bobby believed one wasn't enough, and a perch shaped like a lightning bolt. Fancy? Oh, absolutely. His owner, a cheerful boy named Zayan, loved Bobby more than video games, and that's saying something. Every morning, Zayan would walk over and greet him with, "Good morning, Sir Bobby," to which Bobby would puff up his chest and reply, "Where's my breakfast, human?" Yes, Bobby talked. Not always sensibly, but he talked. One day, Bobby decided he wanted to sing. Not chirp, sing. So while Zayan brushed his teeth, Bobby practiced his opera voice. Tweeta, me, Zayan's toothbrush flew across the room. Later that day, Bobby heard the doorbell. It was Grandma, and Bobby, being the polite parrot he was, "Hide the cookies!" before anyone could say hello. Grandma laughed so hard she gave him a whole cookie. Now Bobby thought he was the king of the house. He strutted on the table, flapped his wings, and declared in his best announcer voice, "Welcome to Bobby's Bird Show. Today's act, flying in circles and stealing socks." He tried to fly across the living room but miscalculated and crash-landed into Zayan's laundry basket. "Socks achieved!" he shouted from inside the fluffy pile. Despite the chaos, Bobby loved his life. In the evenings, he'd sit on Zayan's shoulder while they watched cartoons together. His favorite was anything with other birds. He'd point at the screen and, "That's my cousin Larry." One stormy night, thunder boomed across the sky. Bobby got a little scared and fluffed up like a green pom-pom. Zayan rushed over, opened his cage, and let him sleep on a pillow beside him. "Don't worry, Sir Bobby," he whispered. "You're safe here." Bobby blinked his beady eyes, nuzzled into the pillow, and replied with a, "You're a good human." From that night on, Bobby never feared storms again. He had a home, a best friend, and all the crackers he could eat. Well, almost. Grandma kept him on a healthy diet. And every morning, without fail, the house echoed with, "Good morning, Sir Bobby. Where's my breakfast, human?" And so, in his glittering feather palace with his loving owner by his side, Bobby lived a life full of love, laughter, and just the right amount of mischief. Now let's get to the work. Then I repeated that process for the other two sides, and somewhere in there, I lost a screw. Literally, not metaphorically. It's probably still rolling around the shop. For the roof, I used 2 more 1x2s, just like the base. Confident, simple, solid, and easy to work with. Then I measured out the opening for the cage door. Thoughtful, and here's the thing. Cutting 4 pieces to the exact size for a door is like a magic trick. It either works, or you end up with a trapezoid, relieved. Luckily, this one worked. I framed it, added the grid again, installed a small hinge so our buddy can have an actual door and not just an open hole. Fancy, right? Next, I added 2-inch screws with half out of the wood across the top of each side, kind of like wooden jail bars, but cuter. Then came the satisfied, glorious moment of sanding. I used 220 grit sandpaper, because if you're gonna make a luxury bird home, sharp corners are a big no-no. I focused especially on the parts that would be hard to access after installing the roof. Future-proofing people. After the roof frame went on, I mixed glue with sawdust, a knowing classic filler trick to close up any gaps. Because those gaps were trying to snatch the beauty of this cage like a reality show villain. To hide the rough top of the roof, I used the same wood as the grid. Continuity is key, and let's be honest, it just looks better. Remember how the back was open? That was for easier access during the build, but now it was time to seal it up like a mystery book's last page. Excited. Next up, flooring. Same wood again, because when you're in the woodworking zone, you don't mess with the flow. With everything in place, we were finally cage complete. But wait, surprised, the best part was still to come. Contentedly. Painting. The satisfying finale. I used oil-based paints, white first, on every surface except the floor and roof, then black on the roof and sides to create this black and white chic pattern. Proud. 2 coats, smooth and shiny. Honestly, this part felt more like an art class than a construction job. Now sit tight and witness the magic unfold as an ordinary cage turns into something extraordinary, one satisfying stroke at a time.